One of the good things about social media these days is you don't actually have to learn everything to truly know a lot if you're going to pay attention to people who actually know what they're talking about and who carry more of an independent attitude such as I do. And the guy you should follow, listen to when it comes to the oil and gas industry, go follow Mr. Global 2, both TikTok here and on YouTube. This guy is the absolute expert, doesn't care what color t-shirt you wear. And in this video, watch him destroy yet another BS, you're not right, you don't know what you're talking about, Trump sycophant when it comes to Canada and oil. Take a look.
You have to understand that our trade deficit with Canada is the worst it's been in decades. And that absolutely should not be the case. You have to understand that Canada is heavily reliant on the U.S. importing their goods for their economy to survive.
So actually, Donald Trump's OPEC 2020 deal is responsible for increasing our trade deficit with Canada from $10 billion to $80 billion. This down here, this is the trade deficit. This down here, that's the beginning of the OPEC 2020 deal. Donald Trump's deal. This peak, that's the end of Donald Trump's OPEC 2020 deal. Since the OPEC 2020 deal has ended, our trade deficit with Canada has fallen by what, $25 billion? Let me show you something. Let me show you a few things. Because this is yet another thing that Donald Trump is entirely responsible for and now completely pissed off about. Now, if you don't remember the OPEC 2020 deal, that's when Donald Trump got with OPEC and Russia, and they agreed to a 2-year 10% production cut where they started off by taking 9.7 million barrels a day of oil off of the global market. This deal ended May the 1st of 2022. This is what happened during the deal with our trade deficit with Canada. This is what happened to our gas prices in the United States. Beginning of the OPEC 2020 deal, end of the OPEC 2020 deal, gas went from $2 to $5. This is what happened with inflation. Beginning of the OPEC 2020 deal, end of the OPEC 2020 deal. This is what happened with Canadian oil prices. In the first year of the OPEC 2020 deal, they doubled. In the second year of the OPEC 2020 deal, they went up by another 50% after they doubled. Our trade deficit with Canada is completely driven by oil imports and the price of those imports. If it wasn't for oil, the United States would actually have a $30 billion trade surplus with Canada. And to give you a little more history on how oil prices impact U.S.-Canada trade deficit, you see that big drop right there? That's the Great Recession. That's the Great Recession. Our trade deficit dropped bigly, right? And then you see this huge drop right here. That's the oil crash of 2014 through 2016. At the time, it was the largest oil crash in history. Both of these events had huge oil crashes. Both of these events resulted in our trade deficit with Canada dropping sharply. Huge increase in oil prices raises our trade deficit sharply. Huge drop in oil prices lowers our trade deficit sharply. This is once again yet another thing that Donald Trump is entirely responsible for and doesn't even have enough sense to know it. He is literally responsible for this. Since his deal ended, the trade deficit with Canada has dropped by over $25 billion. And let's not forget that Donald Trump himself said that our trade agreements with Canada and Mexico were trash. They're his fucking agreements that he said was the greatest thing ever. Oh, look, folks, education is elevation, right? Thanks.
That's what happens when you say stupid shite you don't really know the answer to. You just want to try to pump out more BS emotional narrative to try and get people on your side to echo chamber and salivate crap that is not the actual truth. This is one of the reasons why we are where we are in this country. Flat out effing lies being told all the time, from the top all the way down to thousands of John Q. Citizen dipsticks like this guy was. See you soon.